Okay, you are on part 3 of lesson 5. So we are going to open 5C start. Okay, we've got kind of a crappy picture here. So we're going to see if we can do some adjustments on this, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to rename it there, C5C or O5C, because this is the C of lesson 5. All right. So we got some options here. Let's do some image adjustments. So we're going to go up to image at the top. We're going to go to adjustments, and we're going to choose shadows and highlights down here toward the bottom. And let's move that out of the way so we can see what we're doing. All right, so our shadows, we're going to fix those first. We're going to set the first one at 50, the amount. The tone should be at 40. And the radius, let's make it 30. Okay, that looks kind of whack so far. But let's add our highlights in. So our highlights, we're going to change the top one to 14, the amount. The tone, we're going to try 46. And the radius, we're going to put that at 43. Now our adjustments of the color, let's try that at 22. And then hit OK. Okay, so if I step back and I see what we started with, okay, so at least we brightened it up a little bit, but it looks sort of artificial. Okay, that was not the worst, but all right, so we're getting there. Bringing out some of the highlights and whatnot. Okay, I want to zoom in first. And I want to focus on the eyes. All right, we got a very easy way to fix that. This is something that you get when you use Flash. So we are going to go in where the spot healing brush is, and at the bottom you've got the red eye tool. So that looks like it might be the right size. 15 is probably a good size. And just go right over the top of the eye. You don't want it to go outside where the eyelids are. And we're just going to click once. Boom. It gets rid of the old red eye. Let's go to the next one. Still looks like it might be okay. And we got rid of our red eyes. All right, I'm going to zoom out. That's probably good right there. And we need to change the exposure on this sucker. So we're going to go and do an adjustment layer. And we're going to find exposure. Okay, we got to change this a little bit. So the exposure, let's take it to 1. We're going to change the offset to 0.030. Okay, that's looking a little more natural. And let's fix our gamma. We're going to take that to 0.9. So we're going to go down with it. Here, let's do it this way. 0.9. Oops, 9. All right. It's not terrible, but it's definitely better. If I close this and look at where we were, it's starting to look a little more natural. It still looks kind of blown out, but you know, we can adjust it some more. Okay, let's go to some levels. Make another adjustment layer and adjust the levels. Now look at where all of that is in the middle. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the mids to about 1.21 or 1.2 seems okay. Now we're going to change the blacks up to 11. So our darkest darks are around 11. And the whites, we're going to change that to 221. I'm going to bring the whites down a little bit. Okay, now I want to do something with this bottom slider. I'm going to, because it is kind of bright, I'm going to adjust the slider here down to 221 as well. And yeah, look at what that did there. Okay, so that's not bad, but it sort of softened things a little bit. So just to double check, our exposure's at 1. Our mids are at 121, or 120 is fine. Our blacks are 11, whites are at 221, and then we brought the whites down here to 221. We might be able to adjust the blacks here if we want, but I think it's best that it stays at 0. All right. And maybe what we can do is, let's see where we started. Okay, it's a bit much. Let's see if we can, let's take the exposure down to, like, where did we have it? We had the exposure originally at 1. I still feel like 1's okay. I think our offset needs to go back to 0. Yeah, so change the offset to 0. We had it a little bit different. Okay, that's where we were. That's where we are now. Much better. Okay, it's kind of a booty picture anyway, but I think we did pretty good in getting rid of some of the harshness of the picture, and as well as the kind of cloudy murkiness of it. All right, let's go save it as a PSD. And let's export it as a JPEG. Okay, and this is what, a lot of people who deal with photography and photo editing, this is a lot of what you're going to deal with. It's stuff that's just trash that comes in, and you're doing what I like to call polishing a turd. I kind of like it even without the levels, but it sort of takes down the harshness of the colors. Anyway, that's one way to do some adjustments on a terrible picture. And that is the end of 5C.